Everybody, this is Justin back with I'm Your Aid Astrology. So good to reach you again. I wanted to reach out and get back to my daily routine. Now, since we have the sun in Virgo, I could get with my back to business. I took a brief hiatus, which is why I haven't posted a video in at least a month or so. I did get married and went on a short honeymoon shortly after, trying to beat the Mars square stellium. I didn't beat it completely, so we had some delays and setbacks on our trip, but overall it was a really good time, and I was really happy to step away and refresh. There's no better way to deal with Mars than go hiking around Sedona in 100-degree weather every day for 7 days straight. So I think I did 10 hikes in 7 days, but it was needed. While I was gone, there's been a number of correspondence I've had with a lot of people I've worked with in the last couple months or even further back. And it would seem, and this is, the most recent full moon in Pisces, I think really, it had more bite to it. It almost felt very eclipse-like, meaning there was a little bit of a shock and a sense of crisis. Now, this video isn't about the full moon in Pisces. It's more or less about the after effects. But we did have a T-square between Saturn, Venus, and Mars, and that combination is, obviously when we talk about Venus, we talk about relationships, one-on-one relationships, business relationships, interpersonal relationships, even one-on-one friendships for that matter. And, Saturn, structure, contracts, karma, and Mars is, it's sharp. Mars cuts things. Mars severs contracts. Think of Mars, think of surgery. So, and depending on what house this landed in, you will identify with a theme in your life. And this is, astrologers aren't above what happens in the sky. Even myself had a little bit, not a little bit, a big impact of this. So, while I was vacationing, I really kind of came up with a little cocktail for everybody in how to navigate this. There's been one common phrase that I've been told, or a statement, these last couple of weeks, and it goes something like this: Justin, please help me understand what is going on, because I don't know what I did to deserve this. Now, I've heard that from many of you, so I'm not, I'm quoting a mass number of people. Even myself, I had to take a couple steps back and question myself. And, before we get into the charts and the astrology and what all is happening, 2020 is a really easy year to feel victimized. And, a lot of times when there is chaos or unexpected events that kind of flip you on your head, it never really makes sense at the time. But it's always for a good reason. And remember a couple of things. Everything we experience in this reality on a higher level, we contracted before we were born. Okay? So if everything that happens to you, you agreed with on some higher level, even though that can be hard to stand because we go through some very vicious things. You know, I myself have questioned what the spiritual understanding is of some of these events. However, I'd be a much different person today. So when you realize that everything you're experiencing, you co-created, whether you're conscious of it or not, it allows us to stay out of the place of victim, because when you are in a place of victimization, you allow yourself more energy to be victimized. You're actually amplifying the energy. And predators know that. They can point it out. So as hard as it is, and this is for another video with Mars retrograde, there's sometimes sometimes we need to step outside of ourselves and see things from a 40,000 foot view. And I know a lot of you have come to me that have lost a job, a work partnership, a relationship, a friendship. In some cases, something severe, a divorce or a loss of some kind. And I know it's so devastating. And I myself, another reason why I have not been able to broadcast myself is, I myself have hit the wall of that full moon in Pisces, and it's brought me to a bit of melancholy, a bit of a depressed state. So, but what I want to do today is look at the charts and see what energy is there to empower us, because I think there's a lot there. So, and I think this could help. And what we're experiencing right now is kind of precursor for, some say the next 2 months. I say, probably through January, just because the interactions with Mars in retrograde, and then we'll have Mercury join the conversation. That'll go retrograde. I think every day in 2020 is a retrograde. And then it's going to go direct, and it's going to hit and square that stellium again. So we're going to have this. It's going to, I won't even say 2 steps forward, 1 step forward, 2 steps back. And the rest of 2020 is going to be like the Hunger Games, in a way that it's going to be an extreme test of your willpower, an extreme test of your faith, an extreme test of your beliefs. So with that being said, there is some daylight in the charts this week. We start off midweek. We have a new moon in Virgo, which is challenged, but there's some opportunity. Sorry about that. To get out of this. Okay, so like I normally do, I will annotate as we go along. I'll blow myself up a little bit bigger. Where do I want to put myself? I'll put myself down here. Okay, so right now I'm speaking to you. It's on September 14th, on Monday. Let's go ahead and scoot this over to Wednesday, when we have the new moon. So as we can see, there's a number of things going on. And 2020, we've had Saturn and Jupiter conjunct a number of times. The whole stellium has conjunct several times this year, at least 3 times. And we have another one November 30th. The theme is Jupiter's been enhancing everything. It's like blowing more air into a balloon. And it's been with Pluto. So Pluto is death and transformation. Pluto is very psychological. It's our fears, it's our worries, it's trauma. So either our fears have been amplified, or our fate And those of you that have not done the shadow work, because 2020 has called for a dark night of the soul, there's just been a residual boiling point now. And those that have not done the shadow work, there is this pent up anger, and literally the world's on fire. When you have Mars that wants to go forward, Mars is its willpower, its drive, its guns, bombs. It's Mars leaps before they look. Mars wants everything yesterday. Mars wants what it wants now. And when you can't give Mars what it wants, it turns into an explosion of aggression, of anger. And this is all because, part of it is repressed. Mars wants to go, Saturn is drawing it back. So when we first saw this interaction with Mars and the stellium with Jupiter, Pluto, and Saturn, this was in March. This was the shutdown. Okay. Now that was a conjunction. Now this is going to be in square. This is more tension. So what happens when you take a match and you draw the tension of it and you ignite it? That's tension. That's fire. And what do you see right now? We have fires all across the United States, and even the smoke and debris reaching as far as from the West Coast all the way to, almost the East Coast. So this tension it's anything we see out in the world is a internal dis-ease that we're seeing on a collective. So what's going on is, what we're dealing with this week is these after effects of the last full moon. It's to me a good word. It's getting the wind knocked out of you. It's like, where do you go from here? How do you pick up the pieces? And how in hell do you start anything new in this time? And in some cases you can't. So it's like this drive, the want to move forward. And then again, you're met with more opposition. So right now, here's where we're at with the situation. So Venus again is a part of the conversation. This time, it's with Uranus. So the last time, we had, like I mentioned, the full moon in Pisces, Venus was the conversation in a T-square with Saturn and Mars. So now it's Uranus. Uranus is sudden shock, change, disruption. Uranus is rebellion. Uranus is the course corrector. Okay? Uranus can be disruptive and very painful because it's very dramatic. It's very sudden. It shakes you to your core. But on a higher level, Uranus is the course corrector. If we are not on the right path and we are misaligned, it will thrust us into the new direction. So right now, there could be some more shock and change to these relationships. And this could be more of building off of what happened a couple of weeks ago. Sudden shock, change, and disruptions with your money and relationships, and the one-on-one variety. Shock, change, disruption with your personal finances. So, and this is also creating, a lot of intense mercurial anxiety, because here we go with Mercury, it rules the mind, how we think, how we speak. It's in a square with the stellium as well. So we're gonna hit from Venus square Uranus, and then Mercury is in a square with the stellium, and then don't forget the biggest player in the game today, Mars in its home sign, in a square. So there is some help, but Mercury and Jupiter. So here we are. We're left in the rubble. We're kind of devastated. Where do we go from here? Trying to make the best foot forward, but it's hard, right? Because we're dealing with depression. Um, Mars square Pluto. Mars and Pluto can be very ruthlessly competitive, intense drive, wants to win at all costs. That's, more in a conjunction. So when you look at it in a square, it's the opposite of that. It's a lack of drive, a lack of willpower, lack of motivation. Saturn's right there, meaning it with more restriction, right? So now we don't have the COVID thing as much with the restrictions; those are lifting, but now there's travel restrictions because there's fires across America. So this is just as that boiling point. Jupiter will expand that. Mercury and Pluto, it's really obsessive. It's worry, it's fear, it's toxic thoughts, it's obsessiveness. It has your mind playing in a loop. So we're dealing with a lot of toxic thoughts right now, and we're really having a hard time focusing because Mercury in Libra doesn't work very well there. It doesn't function that well. Mercury in Libra is indecisive. It doesn't know what to do. People that have Mercury in Libra natally, they need to bounce any decision in their life off a bunch of people. If there's even small decision, but any decisions in their life, they got to ask their mom, dad, sister, brother, best friend, call their astrologer and get a tarot reading before actually making, they vet. What they're doing is vetting. But and what's really interesting, I know about Mercury and Libra people, they really know what they already want. They're just looking for that kind of confirmation. But so things are really confusing right now. And with that square to Jupiter, we're overlooking details. We're over promising things. Maybe some cases where, maybe overly egoic than we should be right now. So a lot of intense toxic thoughts, a lot of melancholy, a lot of sadness, lack of energy and drive. So, but here comes Virgo. Okay. Here comes the new moon in Virgo. So, Virgo is going to activate a lot of things. Okay. And there's a couple ways out of this, but Virgo is going to be coming into play with the new moon and giving us a very harmonious trine to Jupiter, Pluto, and Saturn to give us some relief. Jupiter in trine with the sun is really optimistic, really positive, glass half full. They could see things from a 40,000 foot view, very philosophical. The sun in trine with Pluto, here it comes. You reach down and get it. Here's the extra drive and willpower. When you don't have energy to do something, the best thing to do is you push yourself to do it. I have not had any energy to go to the gym, but I push myself to get there, and I always end up feeling better, and I always end up having more energy leaving that place than when I walk into it. The sun and Saturn, it's making us very disciplined, right? Very timely, very calculated, very driven. So when you talk about Saturn, you talk about Capricorn. It's the top of the mountain. So the sun is coming in and giving us some daylight. It's bringing us some energy to harness. So we need this. We need this badly. So, another thing when you talk about Virgo, you're talking about your health, you're talking about day-to-day routines. With Mars and its friction spot right now and in retrograde, it's not a time to initiate anything new. And probably for the rest of the year that matter. There might be some, you could further enhance or repurpose, rebuild, redo some things, especially when Mercury gets in play. Again, it's always reconsidering, replanning. But right now, Mercury is allowing us to go back and reintegrate routines and daily routines and health related programs that we already are used to, right? So the one thing I've been doing is I haven't been doing a new workout routine, but I'm beginning. I'm back on my workout calendar, and I'm going to the gym on very specific days of the week to do a very specific muscle group. Um, since I was, getting married in August and we on vacation, we kind of cheated a little bit and had some foods that we probably, wouldn't normally allow ourselves to eat or maybe eat as much. So now it's not, back to the new diet or trying to create something different. Let's go back to, we know what works. Count your calories, all those things. So it's really about, bring yourself back to how Virgo is an earth sign. Virgo wants us to get our grounding, and it's coming in here, again, because Virgo, Mercury rules Virgo, and it's coming in, and it's giving us ability to heal. Venus is in trine with Chiron. This mercurial energy, it's like, how can we shake this? It's like the old Looney Tunes commercials where they had like the devil on the right shoulder tripping into the character, and then like the angel guy is here, and then like they swap one away. That's Mercury right now. Like Mercury's on the right here, like talking a bunch of negative things into your ear, and it's with Mars, it almost wants revenge. It's vengeful. It's feeding into it more and more and more. And, what actually can help this week is, Mercury will also be in a very wide sextile with Venus. So Mercury and Venus is, so here comes Mercury, comes the angel, right? Mercury and Venus is loving thoughts. Mercury and Venus in sextile or trine, it's a really beautiful speaking. It's really compassionate. It's creative writing. So what's a really good way, or a couple good ways to deal with some of these toxic thoughts, right? Is a daily journal, right? Shamanic meditation, right? Getting with the mind, with Virgo, the more challenging parts of Virgo, it's kind of perfectionist. It's kind of like a really difficult self-critic. Virgo is coming in to actually talk you up instead of talk you down this week. Another really great way to deal with this energy is, anything related to Venus and Martian related things. So, Mars is related to like surgeries, athletics, competitions. Venus is very Venusian, so it's like beauty, your haircut, makeup, purchases. So it's not a good time to engage in anything with new relationships. So Venus, anything with new relationships, personal relationships, one-on-one relationships, business relationships. You could go back and hash things out with people you currently work with, but nothing new can transpire here. But with Mars, it doesn't mean you can't like not work out, not be competitive. Again, it's a test of willpower. I think it is really good to burn out this energy, even if you are, like many of us right now, feel that burn out, right? We've also have the sun opposing Neptune this week. That's just like us wanting to escape to another reality, us to escape to Never Land, us to escape through drugs, us to escape through alcohol, us escaping through sleep or our dreams. The last couple of weeks, I didn't even know. I'm right in the same boat with you. And there's forces out there that that want us to give up. For some reason or other, we've come here at this time to help raise the vibration of this planet, to get us on a better track. Everything is in a place of collapsing, so something new could come. And I know it's painful. And what I did the last couple of weeks is, yeah, I definitely could have had opportunities to escape in a lot of different things. And as tough as it was, I just sat. My wife and I, we turned our little one of our closets into like a little fairy Narnia. It's like a reading nook. It's like a closet. We renovated into something different. And I just went there by myself. I have been, when I'm upset, I don't sleep very well. So I get up at 4 or 5 in the morning, which I've been doing since I got back from my honeymoon. And I go up there at 4 in the morning, and in the dark, I just sit there, and I just, as much as I hurt and how much I'm in pain, I just sit with it. And it sucks. You don't want to feel anymore. You just wish anything would happen, even if something worse would happen, just to take your mind off that moment. But there's perseverance through just sitting with the pain. And understand that there's forces that want you down right now. And, you know, I have a very complicated chart. I have a very challenging chart. And that's, no different than we all have, we all have Saturn in our chart. We all have Pluto in our chart. We all have Chiron in our chart. We all have our own shit, right? But I didn't come this far to turn back around. The universe should know me and you a lot better than that. So a couple things to survive this week and the next 6 months, and we'll talk about this more, because I want to reaffirm this for you. I want to hold you accountable, and I want you guys to hold me accountable. All right, number 1, do what Virgo's asking. Reestablish a new healthy routine. Get back into your work routine, your workout routine, your yoga. Oh my God! Since I moved from to my new city, I had a really steady yoga practice in Colorado, in a studio that I love going to, and I haven't because of moving and buying a house and marriage, and what a crazy year. And astrology took off. I cannot tell you, and I'm mad at myself that I stopped this practice. You could really leave your problems. There's something about yoga that's very ceremonial, and you could really leave you come to the mat with one mindset, and you can leave your problems. You leave your mindset with the mat. Yoga by Adrienne, she's been my jam lately. I've been watching her every day. I love it. I'm so disappointed I haven't discovered her sooner. Very Virgo, right? She's very, very granular. It's like she creates these movements that are just perfect for the intention that, the title that she gave. And she's extremely quirky, which is very Virgo. So I'm sure all of you know her. I don't know her from Adam, but again, there is light. There's people of light out there that could help bring harmony to your life, right? Brain food, right? There's that saying that we are what we eat. Virgo, it rules like small farms and farmers markets. Contribute to your local farmers market. Buy some good organic food. There's a guy named Jim Quick. He talks about the 10 steps for success, and the one outside of working out, which we talked about, is brain food. It's feeding the body what it needs. He talked about blueberries and healthy fats like avocados and things like that. In order for your mind to function right, you gotta feed it what it wants. You gotta feed it the fuel that it needs to be a contribution to you. So it's no more escaping through food, alcohol, partying, whatever. It's time to get down to business. And step number 2 is, Venus is in Leo. And, we just had the North Node shift recently into Gemini. That's one of the things that one of the reasons why I picked Sedona is I felt it was a very good place to work on my Mars, right? For my wife and myself. And because it's just like Sedona's almost like the red planet, right? If you've never been, it's gorgeous. Or we didn't go there. We're going to go to Moab or Arches in Utah, which is also like it's red. Gemini wants, North Node of Gemini is, getting connected in the local community, learning something new, and like basic skills. Like Gemini is like early childhood education. So like reading a map, arithmetic, geometry, learn a basic skill that is very Virgoan. Like learn how to start a garden, learn how to, if you have a property with no HOA, learn how to raise chickens. Learn something that will empower you. Short distance travel, Gemini, we're talking about short trips. One way I dealt with this is whether I got married in August or not, getting out of here while we could before the travel restrictions get too crazy. A short journey with a bunch of different, like I said, we did like 9 hikes in 7 days. This past weekend, where I live in Idaho, you drive 2 hours any direction and there's something. I have Yellowstone 6 hours east of me. I got Canada up north. I have Oregon next to me. I have Utah, Nevada below me. So we surprised, and when you talk about Venus and Leo is very romantic. It's very dramatic. It's if you have Venus and Leo natally, you have this very fairy tale romance to you, or you crave to have. That's your love language. You want to be surprised at work with roses, or you want to come home from a long day and rose petals leading you into the bathtub, and a hot drawn bubble bath waiting for you. It's very, very romantic. So I surprised my wife, took her to Twin Falls, which is just like a city a couple hours away from us, and has these 2 waterfalls and hikes and trails. And so again, it's and we didn't have the energy for it, but we drove out there. It was a couple hours. Once we got out there, we saw something new. It was stimulating, created a lot of interesting conversation. Gemini, we started exploring the rest of the parts of the town. And it's just really healthy. Mars is going to be really, for me, I have Mars in the 7th house of relationships. So, I'm destined to get in quarrelsomes these next few months. So a lot of that, you could offset that by really honoring the nodal shift to your North Node. And, I'm going back to doing more, further enhancing my education. I'm learning something new. I'm starting a new hobby. I'm going to do a short trip with my wife every week, except for retrograde season. So there's things out there that could stimulate this energy and help you integrate all that is the aftershock and after events of the full moon in Pisces. When you talk about Venus and Leo, you're talking about you're talking about play. Get back to your pastime. My uncle was really stressed out, and I texted him and asked him what he was doing, and he does like these little like Dungeon Dragon games like called Warhammer, but he has like these little figurines that he uses and he paints them, and it seemed like really therapeutic. I'm like, wow, that sounds like something actually really enjoyable. If you have look at the planets in your 5th house and what the occupant and the ruler is of your 5th house. What's your pastime? How can you feed your inner child right now? Right? Turn worry of Mercury and Pluto, turn worry into wonder of Gemini North Node. Worry into wonder. Always ask yourself what's possible. What else is possible? And finally, compassion. This is not a time to start fights. If you start a fight right now, you're going to lose. You'll get your physical, emotional, or mental ass kicked. So I've talked about this before when Mercury and Mars were dancing together in a negative way. 24-hour rule. If you get an email that's aggressive, take 24 hours. Don't take things personally. There's a great book. It's the Four Agreements. It's a cheap $10 book. You could read it in a couple of hours, if that. In it, it talks about not taking things personally. Because what people project at you are their own problems and insecurities, right? See things from a higher view. If you are being attacked, take 2 steps back. If it's an email, take it 24-hour and respond with compassion. Think before you speak. And when you speak to someone, ask yourself, how can I deliver this information in a way for the other to receive with ease, grace, and glory? Look at it like this. Your life right now, although it feels this way, is not falling apart. It's falling into place. Everything we created in our life, this is what the shutdown has done. It's made us look ourselves in the mirror. It's helped us understand what our values are, what's important to us. And quite frankly, what we are today is a culmination of trauma, social conditioning, programming, and parental influence. And now that everything's been taken away, who are you? I've worked with a lot of you that have working with the difficulty of the North Node in the first house and the South Node in the 7th house. And to me, that would say that in a past life, you lived a very codependent existence, maybe even controlled. And your goal your destiny is to live a life of service to yourself. And that's not selfish, but you have to fill your cup before you pour your cup and give it to other people. And right now, this is a spiritual dismemberment to tear us apart. It's like Humpty Dumpty that fell off the wall and broke into a million pieces and had to be put back together again. Are you going to build the same exact person that you were, how old you are? Or are you going to let your real, true, authentic self come through? Because that's all we have left at this point. It's who we really are inside. And don't let anyone take that from you. People can appreciate you, see you in your power, see you in your glory. That's fine. Don't chase anything that leaves you. But do it with compassion. Again, your life is not falling apart. It's falling into place. And believe it. What you're experiencing these last couple of weeks is going to be a precursor for the next, we'll call it 2 to 6 months. Virgo is asking you to get your grounding. And what we'll do is we'll get in that grounding spirit ourselves. Your homework today is ground. It's still summer. It's still hot in most places of the world. Let's just go to a local park. Go outside. I have a big willow tree in my backyard. It's beautiful. I sit beside it. I place my back against it. I feel support. Do the same. Go out to your favorite tree in your backyard and sit with it. Sit with that pain. I want you to picture that little roots are growing out of the tips of your toes and your fingers. And it's growing deep into the soil and merging with the roots of the tree. In your mind's eye, you could even hear it digging down into the earth. Deeper, deeper it goes. Then notice some warmth that hits the top of your brow, activating your third eye. The sun is filling you with warmth, joy, ease, love. It's running down your body and your chakra system like warm honey. Until your body fills with wholeness. You feel your fingertips tingle as you're radiating with light. I want you to think about all of the people recently that have stolen your energy. I want you to tie their names to a red balloon and release it into the sky and say, thank you for the lesson. May all life come to you with ease, grace, and glory. Now, what you have is space. Now you have space to receive something better. This is Justin with I'm Your Aid Astrology. I'm not your coach. I'm not your guru. I'm not your guide. I'm your aid. I'm your angel in disguise. I help you, empower you. Until next time, may you all walk in beauty. Aho.